topic of the hour, a potential key piece of evidence found yesterday while police searched for Nancy Guthrie. Law enforcement now combing through the thousands of tips pouring in. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson live in Washington with the very latest. Lucas.
Well, good morning, Maria. Speaking of a bounce, or at least a potential bounce or break in the case, sources tell Fox News a set of black gloves have been found about 1.5 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home. Authorities have not confirmed these gloves are tied to the case, but recall, similar gloves were seen by that man outside Nancy Guthrie's home the night she was abducted. The gloves are currently being tested for DNA samples. Here's Nancy Grace from last night.
He was trying so hard to leave no trace behind. He was in there 40+ minutes. All I need, Sean, is one hair. One. Be it nuclear or non-nuclear, meaning no root or root. All I need is one. Why? Because that DNA that they have found there is coming back. Even if he doesn't have a record. Still, genetic genealogy. Busted.
Police are also focusing on the backpack, which was worn by the man seen outside Nancy Guthrie's home, and authorities think this is a clue to track this person down. Here's Harvey Levin from TMZ.
We found that the backpack looks like a Walmart Ozark Trail hiker backpack. And what you see is there are reflective pieces on the backpack that match this Walmart backpack. One of the television stations in Tucson, KOLD, said today that, late today, that indeed the law enforcement believes it is that Walmart backpack that the person was wearing.
Now, Ring doorbell camera users in the area of the Catalina foothills where Nancy Guthrie lives in Tucson have been asked to provide footage to authorities, including on January 11th from 9 p.m. till midnight. Law enforcement also requesting footage from the morning of January 31st between 9:30 and 11 a.m. Our colleagues at Fox Digital also witnessing police searching the roadside near Guthrie's home late last night. And investigators continue to ask for the public's help in solving this case and continue to ask for those tips be sent to the FBI's hotline. Maria?
All right, Lucas, thank you. Lucas Tomlinson there with the latest. Joining me now is the National Center for Open and Unsolved Cases CEO, cybersecurity expert Morgan Wright. Morgan, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Your reaction, what investigators are looking at right now, in your view?
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of attention in this case, and so you've got to look at the glove as just simply a data point right now. Until there's a lot of ifs involved in this. If the glove is linked, it's going to take some extensive DNA testing. So first thing we have to do is link the glove to the case, but there's several ways to do that. It's what Nancy was saying, Grace was saying, there's DNA. There's also biological. There's also things you can look at too, vegetation. Is there any vegetation caught up in that glove? Because remember, in one of the pictures, at least one suspect pulling up, plants and trying to cover the camera. So is there anything consistent with what's at Nancy's home that's inconsistent with the vegetation where the glove was found? The other thing, too, is I'd like to know more about the glove, because you just don't, with that case, you're just not taking gloves straight off. You're going to roll them out. So was the glove rolled out? The reason I say that, Maria, is I'm just concerned with this third note, which appears to be a lame attempt to extort money, that this has the potential to be something that's either just noise, it was thrown out, or it's misdirection. Somebody, new investigator, is going to look for it. So we still have a ways to go. But if it's linked to the case, you now have a corridor. It's a corridor marker. It lets us know which way that suspect went, the paths of egress, the analysis I did. And then to your point earlier, the reporting, they're asking for video. Now I've got a concentrated area. The one thing I'd be asking anybody who owns a Tesla, driving through that area. Remember the Gabby Petito case? One of the ways she was located was by travelers going through there. Somebody was running a dash cam and caught her on it. So it may be something non-obvious like that is going to help us create a profile of a suspect vehicle or find one.
Well, I don't know, Morgan. I got to tell you, I'm feeling like we're back at square one. Honestly, I have hiked this area about 100 times. I mean, I've been to the Catalina Mountains so many times hiking. You know how many gloves are on the ground? Because hikers are on those trails and they drop their gloves. So, you know, I'd like to know what they find out about this glove. It doesn't seem to me to be so, but we'll see. We'll see if there's DNA there, obviously. But Morgan, let's talk about the Bitcoin and this ransom demand. We haven't heard more from the potential kidnappers on that, right? Was the $300 that was on that activity that we saw in the Bitcoin account, was that for the investigators to try to engage? What was that about? And is that tracked? Can that be tracked, the Bitcoin money?
Yeah, you know, the amount now is said to be $151.10, kind of an odd amount, but we haven't heard law enforcement either confirm or deny that they're the ones who did this provocation. I mean, you're putting the money into the account to trigger some things, to trigger some activity. Then what you're looking for, does anybody touch that account? So despite what a lot of people think, they think it's total anonymity. Let me tell you, Marie, some of the lessons we learned after 9/11 about anti-money laundering, follow the money, the ability to do that. When Bitcoin came around, law enforcement was on its heels. It didn't know what to do. I will tell you that there are tools and techniques to even trace things on the dark web. We're getting better at doing this because remember, the internet still has a return address. You send something out, and if you want it back, it's got to know where to put it back. We're getting better and better at peeling back all of the layers of the onion, so to speak, and that's why it's called the Onion Routing Network Tour. Peel back the layers of that to find out where it's from. So is it easy to do? No. Is it impossible to do? No. I mean, I think there will be some success, but like with the Ring or this Nest doorbell, having to go into the wilderness there with just a match looking for a needle, you know, in a huge forest, it's going to take some time to drill down through this. So I think there'll be some movement on it, but people want something right away. This is not right away kind of stuff. This is long, hard, grueling, grinding kind of investigative work.
Absolutely. And kudos to the FBI. They're doing a great job. I really thought that we had a big break when we got that video. Why do you think they keep going back to Annie Guthrie's house? That is Savannah Guthrie's sister and Annie's husband, Tommaso.
You know, Marie, many years ago, I went through the serial crime profiling offered by the FBI. I was trained by one of the original members of what was then called the Behavioral Science Unit. And something that struck me that actually helped me solve one of my own cases later as a detective is you go back and you look in time to say, was there any nexus between the victim and the offender, you know, prior, 24, 48 hours prior? This is, again, these are hypotheses that need to be tested, but you start saying, why was that person in the video so comfortable, wasn't worried about getting off the X, you know, getting out of there, wasn't worried about being discovered? Right. Is it possible that there is a person that saw her come over to Annie's house, assumed that she would be staying the night? One of the people that he was connected with said, hey, I know who this is. And that's why he's over there. And that's why Marie, the other thing too, is I don't see any reports of any other burglaries. I don't see any reports of car break-ins. Why was this the only home in that entire area to be targeted? And so you start, maybe they're going back over there looking at victimology saying, is there a nexus between somebody in that neighborhood and Nancy that knew that that assumed she wasn't going to be at her house?
Well, I mean, normally you have to, you know, write off and eliminate potential suspects. You do that first with the family. And they haven't eliminated the family yet. So, I mean, it raises a question as far as why we're not seeing elimination of people right away within her closest circle. I also questioned why the FBI is offering $50,000. I mean, is that enough to actually get somebody to give up some information if they have it?
It depends, right? If you're broke in debt and you know you owe $100,000, $50,000 seems like a godsend. But in a lot of cases that you're dealing with, many of these people that you would be targeting, I say with this tip, are not going to be the folks that are multimillionaires, you know, independently wealthy, to where 50,000 is a rounding error. So it does create. You have to be careful. You don't want to get it so high that it invites all sorts of weird stuff coming in, because we've already got plenty of weird stuff.
Yeah,
but it's high enough that if somebody's yeah, but if it's high enough, and I think this is kind of that sweet spot, if it's high enough, somebody's going to say, yeah, you know, we're friends, but we're not that much of friends, so I don't mind dropping a dime on this guy.
All right, we'll keep a spotlight on it, Morgan. Thank you. Morgan Wright joining us. We're going to take a break and come back and check out markets this morning, which are higher across the board. Stay with us. Thank you, Morgan.